So I was scrolling the other day when I came across this pretty concerning post. And I think it would concern most authors to see something like this, which suggests that there are authors just going out there and launching attacks on other authors in a childish manner and not managing to conduct any kind of conflict resolution to deal with any issues they might have. And it's the kind of things we've seen before. We've seen plenty of authors behaving badly and lashing out at other authors. A great example would be the Kate Corain controversy recently. So, of course, I looked into what she was talking about. And it was this, an author talking to a wholesaler, raising concerns that an AI author was publishing work on their site. And this is pretty common now. Authors are taking stands against being published alongside other authors who are using AI. And I was wondering just how bad this case must be that they post this up like this. And that would result in someone else absolutely laying into them for attacking another author for the AI work. So who is Mary Silver? How much AI are they using in their work? Well, the weird thing is you won't find Mary Silver anywhere. There's no biographies, there's no author photos, there's no website. Basically, the only sign that they exist is on Amazon and Goodreads for selling and reviewing their work. And going to Goodreads, you will find that they have written a lot of books. You're not prepared for the number of books. Mary Silver has produced 712 books, almost entirely in the last 4 years. To put that into a more tangible number, that's writing about 3 books per week, each of which over 100 pages. That's faster than most people can read. This is the kind of books they're writing, something that's incredibly popular amongst a certain genre subset. And every single book is on a topic such as this. Hundreds of them have no reviews whatsoever, but the top ones get a few dozen. These are independently published, and as an indie author myself, even the fact I do my own covers, I can tell you that writing this many books and publishing them all in that kind of time, with the kind of readership that these number of reviews would suggest, would incur tens of thousands of dollars of losses. That's how much money it costs to get things published through most publishing outlets, with custom covers, with editing work, proofreading. I write stories half this length, and each one of them will cost me several £100s to put out. If that gets mapped against 700 books, you're talking tens of thousands of pounds of overhead and not even scratching the surface in terms of profit and return. But, of course, actually writing anything, getting it edited and proofread, producing covers, getting beta readers, getting it published, isn't what's happening here. Because Mary Silver, the author, does not exist. There is no such person writing hundreds of pages of edited work every single week for 4 years. There isn't even anyone using an AI tool to write out huge amounts of text with their oversight that they're reading over and checking actually matches what they wanted. There is no one who has even read 712 of these books, not even the name of the person that's listed as their author. There is no real author called Mary Silver writing this genre of work. What is happening is someone or a group of people is putting in prompts to just plug out enormous amounts of content from an AI generator, using the prompts probably pretty close to what is written as the titles of these books. They're using the same kind of prompts to produce the covers. That text and image is then just pasted into a word editor, thrown into Amazon KDP Publishing, and put out on the web. There is no creative input. There is no editing. There's no proofreading. There's no design process. There is no creative input by any human at any point of this process. What there is a content factory. A content factory they have put a human name on because they know how people respond to naming things. If you name your toaster, you start giving it some degree of personhood, and it is not long before you start referring to that toaster as having feelings of its own, having wants and dreams of how much toast you put in it. And so you get Julia here jumping to the defense of a machine claiming it's an author, just because someone had the bright idea to put a human name on it. And the irony here is what you have is someone attacking an author for daring to make their feelings known about this kind of content, whilst accusing them of attacking other authors, despite there being no actual author here to attack. And that's without what we know about how this kind of content is generated, which is, it is impossible to generate without the wholesale theft of thousands of authors' works, especially in the genres of what is being produced. Because it is only with the mass ingestion of that content that these machines understand what to print out when they're prompted for that content. We know that the works of thousands of authors and artists have been deliberately taken without consent and without compensation from those creators by these companies that create these AI. We know from leaks from places like Midjourney that they have set out certain artists as being legitimate prompts for their engines, knowing that if people put in the prompt for that artist, they will get an image that looks like the work of that artist. How do these outlets know that? Because they know the work of that artist is part of the machine. They know they've stolen it. They know the machine understands it because that's what they put in. They know that if you go to ChatGPT and ask for a book in the style of George R. Martin with a certain prompt, it will produce text that looks like a book in the style of George R. Martin. They know that that's what you get because they know they've taken the work of George R. Martin without asking him for consent, without paying him compensation for the profit they'll make from people entering prompts like that and producing material like that and then selling it for profit. Stuff many of them will never read, because the point of this kind of content churn isn't actually to produce anything that people would like to read. It's to produce stuff that can be sold through places like Amazon. Because it costs these prompt artists basically nothing to create, every dollar that they make from the sales is straight profit. And because it costs no time, it had no investment in terms of time and work. It's basically a get-rich-quick scheme. And, like most of them, it relies on exploiting people. And the people who are exploiting are authors and artists. Because these machines do not exist without the works of those authors and artists. They cannot run, they cannot produce anything without having taken stuff beforehand. And it has been admitted by these AI companies that they cannot be profitable if they actually pay people for the content that they take in. So they exist entirely because they refuse to ask for consent and they refuse to pay for what they make a profit from. And people will try to reduce their guilt for using tools like this despite knowing that they exist entirely through theft. And people with that guilt will leap to defend people they see as doing the same thing, even if that person, like Maria Silva, doesn't exist. It will be negligibly easy soon to plug one of these text and art generators into a system of tabulating what people like from what it produces and churning out stuff that gets closer and closer to just stuff that people will enjoy. And by doing so, potentially make huge amounts of profit. By driving authors, what they will see as their competition, out of existence under this deluge of new content. The very authors that they relied on to create the systems that they will use to destroy us. So maybe next time, think twice before rushing to the defense of the new machine overlords. Because they don't care about you either. They are not people.